Hello and welcome to Sasquatch Talk. My name's Bradley Valentine, and you are joined here with Troy Miller, Dan Adams. We are the owners of Sasquatch Gun Oil. Today we're going to talk a little bit about gold, U.S. currency. Really quickly, Troy likes to clean some guns while we're doing this podcast. What gun are you working on today, Troy?
Today I have a Smith & Wesson CSX. It's just a little pocket gun for me.
Nice.
But it's a little standard thing. And then I have this Canic Rival. It's a fun gun to shoot. But yep, that's
you
what
like
I got.
that optic? Is that a red dot or green dot, or what do you got there?
Yeah, it's a red dot. It's the Vortex Defender. It's their standard one, so like the middle-sized window. It's not bad, for the price point. It's not bad. You get what you pay for, but it's definitely you're not gonna see it on premium guns,
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
I don't need $1,000 optic. It's not my day job. So
Right, but those competition shooters, that's what that market is geared towards.
Yeah.
Yep. I figured shoot what works. You gotta get good with the tooling you got. That's probably most people's biggest thing, right? Is like they'll talk about eye dominance or whatever, and like, oh, I can't see unless I hold it this way. I'm like, well, then hold it that way.
Yeah.
Like whatever you can see and safely operate, that's how you need to hold it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be different for everybody. We're not all the same.
But do it the same way every single time. Once you figure it out, do it the same way.
As long as you can handle somebody slapping you upside the head and still getting, two shots on target, like you're doing all right.
Danny, you said you don't need no $1,000 a scope or anything. I don't even need a gun. I just throw the bullet so fast it just destroys the target. So
Dang.
One day you'll get to my point.
Years of watching the White Sox. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Your armchair sports is like got me going.
All right. Well, anyways, we're gonna talk some gold alternate currency. We're gonna go into a little bit of history. But let's get us started with a little icebreaker, and let's get literal, icy. We're gonna talk ice in Minnesota. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna talk the snowstorm, and we are 3 different places in the country, and it's kind of gone across most of the country. But let's start with you, Troy. I don't think you got hit with any bad blizzards or weather, did you?
You're talking about the weather. Okay,
yeah.
No, clouds rolled in. There was no moisture, but the clouds are trapped in the heat, so it actually got a little warmer to the point where we're barely staying below freezing at night.
All right.
But no moisture, no wind. Honestly, it's been nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Danny, you're in Florida. You got the beautiful palm trees behind you. What's the story?
Yeah. It's freaking cold, man. It's no surprise that I'm in the military. I work on the flight line, and I was very cold last night.
When you say cold, because some of us, have dealt with like in Chicago, my dad was texting me. He's like, it's below 20. What is cold?
Yeah, it wasn't below 0. It was 20 with a lot of humidity and all the wind you could ever want while you're trying to do something.
Nice. All right. Well.
Yeah. And sitting down on the concrete. So,
In Colorado, surprisingly enough, every time people always think that, at least where I live, that it snows all the time and like I'm snowed in and it's minus 20. And one of my friends sent me in Missouri a picture and he said, it's looking like Colorado out there. And he had like a foot of snow and I had like an inch of snow because it doesn't. Troy, you used to live in Colorado
high
Springs.
Desert area of Colorado, I think, right?
It's very dry and it doesn't snow a lot. And when it does, it's sunny and it melts all the time. So it did get cold here. It got to like 5 degrees, maybe 0 degrees, but it didn't really snow.
Yeah.
So, it was worse in other places like Texas than it was in Colorado. So, or at least Colorado Springs. Obviously, if you go in the mountains, it's a nightmare. So
right.
The whole West was pretty much avoided that storm.
Right.
It's been really dry and warm out almost everywhere out west.
Yeah. So
my buddy sent me a picture of Nashville, and it looks like somebody left every sprinkler on, and then like it was just in freezer mode. just coated everything in like an inch of ice. It's crazy.
And that's heavy. You get that much ice, it's heavy.
Dude, back in early 2000s in Missouri, we got an ice storm. It was an inch of ice on everything. They called in linesmen from like 3 surrounding states, and it was like a national state. Dude, we were watching Transformers pop all over the place from tree limbs coming down. We couldn't even get out our little duplex because there was a transformer on the ground like 3 feet from our front step. So we had to call. Yeah. It's
Missouri.
Everything's cool until the weather hits.
Missouri has some of the worst weather, and like
yes.
So obviously I lived in Springfield, Missouri for 10 years. I've lived here for about 5 years. And when sometimes my friends will come over and they just think that Colorado is just like this mountain, like I live in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah, the whole state, at the state borders just goes up from there.
And like it was January, like last year, we were coming home from a hockey game and it started snowing, as it does in January in a lot of places in the US. And she was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I'm like, where are you from? Does it not snow in Springfield anymore? To
be fair, she might be from Florida. It doesn't snow much this last year they had.
She was from frickin' Springfield, where I used to live near her. So
yeah, they get snow in Springfield. I know they do.
Oh, so
but like I met people that hadn't moved outside the state of Florida, and they were like, this is the first time my 17-year-old kid has seen snow. And I'm like, that's wild.
That's crazy.
Being from places where we've seen all the seasons, But I'll say Missouri, like, it has the worst of all of the weather. And we went camping in the summertime. It was like 98 degrees in the middle of the night. Yeah, I didn't even want my toes to touch each other.
oh, man.
And it was 3 hours north of where you were at. That was over by Lake of the Ozarks, and you were camping there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's our icebreaker, a little breaking the ice, literally. But let's get into our topics. And I'll just start us off with a little history lesson and explain why we are where we are. And we'll just talk about how we think it's affected us a little bit. But essentially, the dollar, the US dollar, used to be backed by gold, literal gold. So essentially, you could, in a sense, trade in your dollar for gold. It was promised through gold. We had gold reserves. In the 1930s, it started to get phased out a little bit. And in the 1970s, by Richard Nixon, he completely phased it out. It's what we call now a fiat currency. And essentially what that means is the dollar is backed by the goodwill of the US government, right? Like, don't worry, trust us, we'll take care of you if something goes bad, right? Now, in a sense, it makes sense because there's not enough gold mined in the world to cover our debt. Like, there isn't $38 trillion of gold mined. So it can't be backed by gold. But Troy and I talked about gold backs. Do you have any gold backs on you, Troy?
Yeah.
So for those of you who missed the gold backs, do you want to just quickly describe the gold backs, Troy, for our audience?
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. So here's a couple half Arizonas. These Arizonas were released in November of 2025. Anyways, what it is it's a currency made out of gold. And because it's gold, it doesn't rely on the full faith and credit of the United States government, or any government, really, for all fiat currencies around the world. The value is in the actual gold itself inside each currency. They are denominational. So there's the halves, which are currently the lowest. Here's a couple Florida halves right here. And then it goes all the way up to the ones, or 100s. Here's some ones. There's a 1, a 2, 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100 denominations, which makes them fungible, which means you could use it like a currency.
Yeah.
Instead of just a 1 ounce block of gold. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's
so. So I have a question on that.
Yeah.
So I watched about I don't know, no less than 3 YouTube university videos on those gold backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people are like, well, the cool thing about them is, like, depending on what price you buy them at, they won't be lower than a certain value, right? So, like, there's how much gold in each of those?
One gold back is 1/1000th of an ounce. So the half
No,
gold back I was showing you.
One thing I guess I didn't dive deep enough, but like, say you have $100 gold back and you have a $5 gold back. Does the $100 gold back?
It's not dollars. It's gold back. So that's one.
So what I'm saying, yeah, that's my question. So the $100 one, right?
It's 100 gold back.
Okay, let me stop saying dollar.
Replace the word dollar with gold back.
The 100 one and the 5 one. The 100 one is heavier than the 5.
Yes.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah, so it is an increment amount of gold. So you have the half, which is, I don't know if you can see it, down here.
Yeah.
It says 1/2000th of an ounce.
Okay.
24 karat gold.
Yeah.
That's a half. Then you have the 1 gold back. This is the new Washington, D.C. they came out with not too long ago. But you'll see at the bottom, it says 1/1000th of an ounce of 24 karat gold.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So 2 halves make up 1, and then if you had 1,000 of them, you'd have 1 full ounce, right? So 100 gold back is 1/10 of an ounce. If you look at this one, it says, can you see the 1/10?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
1/10 troy ounce, right?
Yep.
Right, 24 karat gold.
Okay.
And there are people who have melted these down. They've taken the singles and the halves and melted them down and did a whole making
How much
sure
is
that
in it?
Exactly.
Yeah, because ink weighs something, right? I always mess with my kids and tell them that the $100 bill weighs more than a $1 bill, just to mess with
them. in this case, if you said it about the gold backs, you would be accurate.
Correct.
Yeah. So feeling this 100, it definitely feels like metal, and there's more strength to it as opposed to the 1. It's a little bit more flimsy.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'll go to you, Danny. So, like, when you have a dollar bill or a debit card or a credit card, you essentially gold. In a way, money's all made up, right? Like, we made up this system to help us trade back and forth, right? So how confident are you? I don't know. Let's say we have a mini apocalypse and we're stuck in a world where, like, maybe like our regions are shut down. How confident are you that your gold will mean something or your dollar will mean something? What are you going to do?
That's a good point, right? I would consider myself a heavy tinkerer.
Okay.
Right. So this whole thing got started because of gun oil, right?
Yeah.
Which the gun oil was a pivot point from making fuel out of algae, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to tie this whole point together is that gold is only worth what it's worth to someone else that you can trade it for.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So in your apocalyptic scenario, or let's just call it a COVID scenario, where you can't travel unless you've gotten some government mandated nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, if you need gas and you need some milk, right, or whatever you need, flour to make bread, right, because you're hungry, and your neighbors are all out, everybody's out, and you need to travel some sort of distance, right? You got to have some fuel to do that. Well, is the guy that has the fuel, is he going to accept gold and goods? He's probably going to accept tools and pipes and plumbing fittings, right?
So more
things to make stuff. And this has been my whole beef with the preppers. Like, you could have food, right? And, it's good to understand resources, right? Like how to filter large amounts of water, because if you drink dirty water, you're going to die anyways, right? You can make it more than, I think it's like 50 days without eating, right? Like there's a lot more to this puzzle than people understand.
Sure.
And I like gold, but that only works. Gold and shiny things only work in a world where someone wants a shiny thing.
Yeah.
Because if you watch movies, they always portray bad guys as wanting the shiny things, right? They want the money. They want to rob the money. They want to rob the gold. They're going to blow up the bank and get the gold.
Yeah.
You know, it's always to, in my constant conspiracy theory mindset, right? The only reason those movies are there are to instill a subconscious value of gold to continue the currency moving. Because if people truly understood that it was about goods and services, right? Like way back in the 1700s, like, can you make a bullet and kill an animal to provide meat?
You're right.
Can you grow food to eat? If you can't do any of those things, you better be willing to help someone.
So,
you know,
I see where you're going. And I'll make 2 points. One, have you guys seen the movie The Book of Eli?
I've wanted to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
So it's a post-apocalyptic movie with Denzel Washington, and he goes to a place where he starts to trade, and obviously they don't use money, but he has a bunch of little trinkets. Like he has like a wet wipe, like he's like, those are super valuable. He has a lighter, he has like shampoo, like those are all things that are super valuable. And it kind of reminds me of what you're thinking, Danny. But I actually think that even if our dollars meant nothing, right? I think that people, whether it's good or bad, would still want gold. And here's my theory. Since the beginning of time, we have seen gold, before we used it to trade currency, as something precious and valuable. And I might lose some of our audience here, but let's say you're a Bible believer. In the Garden of Eden, God put gold there. That was before we even needed money or currency. So depending on what you believe, right? Like gold has always been there since the beginning of time. And it really has been, like, since before we just had a currency to trade, we've loved gold. Now, in my mind,
they made statues out of it.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Gold has always been important. And I think what we've got, like our minds, our thought processes have evolved on this thoughts. And I don't mean literal evolve, but like we've evolved our thought processes to think like gold, money is stupid. But I think we think that way because we have a dollar bill that means nothing. But if we were to have this conversation 60 years ago, I think we would be thinking totally different because that dollar means something, you know?
Well, that was right after the Bretton Woods Agreement, too, which gave the dollar a little bit more influence, especially around the world. But no, you're right. You look at society collapses, you look at currency collapses, like the Weimar Republic. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. The dollar, their currency, became worthless before Nazi Germany took over.
Sure.
There was more value in the wheelbarrow, in the metal, in the material, like Dan was saying, you know, kind of more of a barter system instead of a currency system. But once the Nazis took over, they instituted a new currency, which means every time a currency collapses, they're always trying to institute a new currency.
Right.
There hasn't been any extended stretch of time where there hasn't been a currency, you know, and it's been just a barter-based system.
Well, this brings us to a good point, right? So do you watch any of the whatever that summit is with all the rich people that scream about climate change but then take their personal jets that pollute more than your Nissan Pathfinder could ever dream of polluting? And you have to have like the minimum entry fee is like 20 billion or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So these are all the people that want to ban the guns, but they all have private security, you know, wielding fully automatic MAC-10s, right? And their private security rivals the president's,
right.
You know, government-funded private security. All of those people want to ban guns, and they want to tell you then I'm not trying to get too far out in the weeds.
You could say it. This is Sasquatch talk.
Yeah, I know. So, my point is, those people don't understand a world in which you don't pay a bill because you need to pay another one that's coming due sooner.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't. That
water
process,
or electric.
That does not enter their brain. The only bill that they concern themselves with is another investment to gain $1 billion.
Right.
Like they'll crush 30 companies if it means that their other 2 companies that are the competitor of those 30 ones, they'll crush 30 of them, put all those people out of work,
right,
and give them to the government to sustain them. As long as their bottom line adds another $1 billion. They do not care.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So I've watched a bunch of those dudes talking, and they say that everybody's so wealthy now that in 5 years' time, all we'll have to do is figure out what to do with our free time. That's what they're saying. They're saying that everybody's going to be a slave to a system of some sort because the only thing, like all of their basic needs will be met if we follow their plan.
Right.
That's what they're saying. You'll have housing, you'll have food, and it's probably none of the things that you'll have are going to be the things that you want.
Sure.
But
sounds like communism.
They'll keep you surviving, right? My point is that system only lasts until someone outthinks it and goes, well, I'll exploit it. Right.
Sure.
And then someone's tired of getting beaten, stolen, and pushed back into their, Adobe or whatever it is. and then he talks to his buddies and they're like, yo, these guys suck. Let's do something. Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. So then they get sharpened sticks and they stab whoever. And then now they're the guys in power. Right.
Yeah.
And that's how this, if you look back through time, that's just how this goes. Somebody gets tired of not being in power, so much so that they find some other people that are tired of not being in power, and then they try to topple the people that are in power.
How does this tie back to
the gold stuff?
Yeah. Bring us back.
So my thought process is, if you get the scales out, goods and services versus gold, I agree. Shiny things always have a place. Just like for the same reason that women that were in prison camps from the Nazis used to prick their fingers to put blood on their cheeks to make some sort of makeup, right? To do something. That same drive to make your cheeks rosy is the same drive that gets people to like shiny things.
Yeah.
That's what makes a polished quartz crystal worth money.
So if you were doing a job for someone and they offer to pay you and they offer you gold or the US dollars or some other, call it tools and supplies, parts, what would you prefer?
That's
gold right now. Have you seen what the current spot is?
That's going back to why people like gold, right? It being a currency, it's as an alternative currency. So you could have the same conversation with crypto. It's an alternative currency.
Sure.
It is.
Yeah. And so you look at the value of it. You brought up what is it at, Dan? Gold today?
My screen froze, but
do you know, Bradley?
5303.90 right now. Okay, and US dollars.
Have you looked at the price of goldbacks? One goldback for today?
$10.61.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna talk to my wife about going to a place and buying some. I found a place that's
Danny's like, I need some gold backs.
So Florida does have a gold back series, and
they're
one of the first states. Yeah, and the states that get them have pro-sound money laws in place to promote a healthy fiscal responsibility.
This is kind of on topic, but I like comedy. And since we're doing our own little podcast, I want to bring Brian Regan is hilarious, and he does a bit like, how high up the echelon does somebody say you have to jiggle the handle for the toilet, right? You just have to You got to jiggle it. He's like, has a Duke ever said to an Earl, you got to jiggle it?
Just jiggle it.
You know? And like, so when you were talking about Goldbacks just now, you know, when you're buying, like, okay, this is a little throwback, but there's pop machines everywhere. And that will, you know, regionally define me. That's a soda machine for those of you that
I was gonna
are
say,
not
you mean
from
Sody
Chicago.
pop for those in the South.
Yeah. I envisioned someone with a Goldback, like trying to like straighten it out
to get it
feed it into the machine to get a soda pop. Like
with the dollar.
I just had a quick little mental snap about that, and I'm like, I was like thinking back, like me and Crystal go and buy these Goldbacks, and this typical Florida man comes out, and he's like, "This one's half off."
You know, it's funny that you say that because a couple things. One, Troy, when we talked, a Goldback was $9.20. So
that's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
yes.
It's gone up 15 cents or 15% in like 3 weeks. Now, this isn't a financial podcast. If you want one, go to freedomfinances.org. But I'm not saying you should go buy them to make all your investments, but that is crazy. Like the amount that it's gone up.
Well, year to date, gold's gone up $992. Year to date, $992.
It was 1 year ago. It was $27.99. So it's almost doubled. So it's pretty crazy to think that gold has almost doubled. But I was watching this random video on YouTube about the Pawn Stars show where like people try to sell them something crazy. Well, this guy was trying to sell like an old car that ran really well, and they're negotiating, and the guy's like, "I'll give you 85 for it," and he's like, "No, I want 100,000." He's like, "I'll give you 90. I want 100,000." So like they go on and they start talking, and he's like, "What can we do to make this deal get done?" The guy's like, "I'll take gold."
He wanted the car.
Yeah, he's like the guy who was selling the car was like, "I'll take the gold, or I'll take a gold payment." So he paid him $95,000 in gold. He originally wanted $100,000, and I'm thinking, dang, I would take that all day long because it's only $5 grand
Yeah, that show
off.
aired like 10 years ago, right?
I don't know when the episode was from, but like all you have to do is sit and wait a little bit, and your 95K is 100,000. Where
if it was 10 years ago, it's worth 5 times that.
Yeah, so
now it's got almost 500,000.
I would take that deal all day long.
All day.
Yeah.
But here's my thought on that. Since we're talking gold spot price and we're fringing on a financial podcast, so we've talked about US dollars. What I would like to do is make a spreadsheet and look at, because I've thought about in the past about buying different currencies.
Yeah.
Because there's like currency trading that goes on, right? So what I would like to do is take like 10 countries that, tout themselves as financially stable and see which one has not moved the most for the gold spot. And then that currency is going to most likely be the most stable.
So you're saying what country hasn't had inflation for their notes?
Yeah, because that one's going to be the most reasonably backed, would be my opinion, because the weight of gold isn't changing, right?
Right, yeah.
That's a constant.
But the value of that is changing.
The value is changing because the US dollar is being inflated because they can't quit printing it. It's like they're smokers that can't, they're like, I just quit buying cigarettes. I borrow one now. Every time I smoke one, it's like I borrowed 3.
You brought that up, and I was thinking, I wonder if any countries still have a gold standard. So,
that's a good one. Did you do a quick Google?
I don't think so.
I did, and you're right, Troy. No one has it. The last one was Switzerland in 1999.
I thought that was the case.
So, is Switzerland the most stable currency? Is it the Swiss franc?
That's a good point. I don't have the Swiss inflation for the francs. Let me see here. But what I can do, I have it actually. The inflation rate for the Swiss francs is pretty good compared to the US dollar. So here, I'll do this. If you go to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and I'll just do this for us, you go to what was 10 years, 2016.
Yeah.
Let's say $100 in January of 2016 is now worth $136. Some easy math. That's a 36% inflation rate.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
10 years. Yeah.
10 years ago, an ounce of gold was a little
About 1776.
was a little over $1,000. For an ounce of gold. Today it's 5,200. So based on like some quick napkin math, that's what five times 500 600%, if you will. So it's outpaced inflation by that much, which is pretty crazy to think about. Like if you think about just gold versus the U.S. dollar, if I can find the U.S. or the franc, it's actually done really well. It hit a peak of inflation in 2022, like we did, but when we were at 9% inflation, they were at 3% inflation.
That's Dan's question from earlier: is the most stable currency? I think it's the Swiss franc.
It could be. no conclusion.
Yeah, but it's because they loan money out to everybody.
Yeah.
They're a payday loan country, basically.
and they don't have any reporting laws for foreign investors to hide their money. That's why people are always wanting to put their money in a Swiss bank to hide it. So it's attracting global capital from around the world.
Right, and then they get, they've got all that to loan from. I'd like to see what I'd like to see some numbers.
So I'll throw out some things here. I'll just read from Trading Economics. It says consumer prices in Switzerland edged up 0.1% in December 2025, matching market expectations. Prices increased further for alcoholic beverages and tobacco, communications, restaurants, and hotels. You know what I find hilarious? That they talk about all these things like alcohol, tobacco, hotels, restaurants. When we talk about our inflation, we talk about eggs, milk, gasoline.
Yeah.
I feel like the image I'm getting of people in Switzerland are like, oh, this glass of vodka is more expensive than it used to be 5 years ago, and we're like freaking a price of like a dozen.
Yeah, they're like,
eggs.
dude, a carton of eggs.
Yeah.
You know what it costs to make a loaf of bread these days?
And obviously the U.S. isn't a great state financially just compared to the world, but we look like peasants compared to Switzerland.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And they freaking, they take helicopters to go skiing. So
Yeah.
I've never once taken a helicopter to go skiing.
No.
Never once.
I've only been in a helicopter once. And I paid someone to do it for me to drive it when I was a little kid. So I didn't pay. My parents paid.
Yeah. I've never been in a helicopter.
There you go.
Really?
Really?
All right.
I wanted to. There was a. Never mind.
Go on. You're good. You're good. What I was going to say
irrelevant.
next, like with gold, it is like, okay, we have like gold backs, and we don't want to make it all about gold backs, but they literally have gold inside of them.
It's a really good comparison tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think about like as kids, I don't know if kids still do this today, but we would make up like a fake shop and we would have fake money, and like
I have 3 kids, and that is, dude.
Yeah.
I threw away a pile of papers and had to deal with a meltdown because I emptied someone's bank. I was like, you got robbed. Go make more money.
You could take a hefty government tax too, find the richest one and then just take more of that person, teach them about taxation.
Yeah, just a good shout out to our last podcast. I was like, and that's why you shouldn't vote Democrat, because they wouldn't have put me in jail for that.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. But I guess my point was like, even as like kids, there's something in us. Like when you're a kid, you don't really understand money that well. You know, like some
Not really.
some people teach their kids like to understand like work for money, responsibility, etc. I'm not talking about that. I'm just like, we don't really understand the concept of eventually we're going to have to grow up this money. You know, it's very finite. You're going to have to get rid of it. You're going to have to live off of it. But somehow we do fully get the point that there's something of value that we can trade. Had you guys ever tried to make your own money when you were kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I thought shiny rocks would be better money because they looked more like gems.
That's yeah.
So like, you know, like on the playground or whatever, and kids are always like, "Oh, I'm making mud pies. What are you? You know, would you like to buy one? What do you have to buy a mud pie with?" Like my go-to was always like,
here you go,
shiny rocks, and I knew that crystals were used in radios, so like that was I was like a tinkerer from like very young. So I'd be like, well, you could use this to make a radio. I'll trade you this.
Did anyone buy it? Were they like, oh yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a friend kind of on the same note, but it was a friend and not me. He would always say doll hairs, like, and kind of trying to have an accent to make it sound like it was dollars.
Yeah.
But when it came down to it, it was the hairs from the little dolls that he was plucking
I bet
out.
his sister was livid. Bunch of bald Barbies.
That might be more freaky than anything.
Yeah, that might have a deeper root cause. But anyways,
What was that? The Toy Soldier? That movie?
Yeah.
Or it reminds me of Toy Story. Sid torturing his.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, when I was a kid, Pokemon cards came out like in 1996 and stuff. So I started collecting them. You know, this is like 30 years ago, and I still have Pokemon.
I love that you have that.
Yeah.
My kids gave me one.
Yeah.
I have one on my
I still have
dresser.
Pokemon cards. And guess what? Some of the ones I like the most, like, they're gold. Like, this one's gold, you know?
Yeah.
Like, is there real gold in it? Maybe. Buy them.
Yeah.
But
That's what you should make.
gold
Real gold,
Pokemon cards?
Yeah, to rival the gold backs, you know, the same theory. Like I don't think they have a patent process or process patent on just theirs. You just need gold trading cards, you know.
I feel like I could be doing something, but I don't know. Maybe.
I'll make you a machine to press them out. You just got to get someone to design the dies.
That's
Which
awesome.
brings me to my point.
Okay.
I wanted to make my own currency.
Yes.
Like my own okay, I'm forever into like, what can you do with this other thing that like now it's broken, but it could do something more. Like I helped a guy turn 2 electric ovens into we bought some, it's called KO wool, KOA or KAO wool, but it's insulating like rock wool. I helped him turn 2 electric ovens into a powder coat machine. We cut the bottoms off. I welded the shells together. We took the elements out, put KO wool in, and then drilled holes and tied it up, and then put the elements back in so it was insulated.
Mm-hmm.
And he was using that to powder coat rims for cars.
Okay.
And that got me. I watched this poor miner channel on YouTube, and he takes all this electronic e-waste stuff and gets gold scrap out of it. So I like fire. So he's always using a foundry to like melt it down and get all these little gold buttons, and he like stacks them. And what I was looking up, because like I was always fascinated by like doubloons, pirate treasure, you know?
Yeah.
Like I always wanted to come down to Florida and go scuba diving and look for like, wave your hand in the sand, and then there's just this pile of coins in this old beaten up wooden, you know, treasure chest, and you're like, I found it.
So sorry, go ahead.
That made me want to mint my own coins, and I like went on this whole thing. Well, you can do that.
Yeah.
But they're not legal tender.
Right.
They're just like gold bars, you know.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you can't just make your own currency. You can have something have value, but like you can't have anything that represents a note. like a U.S. note specifically.
Yeah, promissory note. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's illegal.
Yeah. But I feel like it's still your trade. Like if somebody's willing to give you some car parts.
Right.
I've traded car parts for gun parts before. Not serialized gun parts, but barrels and stocks.
But that would just be bartering at that point.
Yeah.
That's trade.
But that's still a type of, it's still something that's valuable to trade for something that's more valuable to you, which is what currency is.
Yeah.
Well, and yes, currency is a universal acceptance form of payment that everyone should take. So then they can turn around and pay to buy their supply. You can't turn around and use those car parts to pay your electric bill.
Yeah.
Or buy
your
food
buddy's
at the
got a
grocery
generator.
Buy food at the grocery store, or all kinds of things. Pay the internet bill, right? I mean, they're not going to take car parts, and that's where the currency component comes into play.
Yeah. So I looked up some laws because it's kind of confusing. So U.S. Code 18486 says whoever makes any coins of gold or silver or metal intended for use of current money shall be fined or imprisoned not more than 5 years. But it's kind of confusing because we have gold backs. So I'm trying to understand where does the exception come in?
So that was in the Constitution that you read that?
No, U.S. Code. U.S. Code is different than Constitution.
So look up I think it's in the beginning of the Constitution where it talks about gold and silver shall be the legal tender. In the Constitution.
So how can they say you can't make your own coins?
Because they want the government to produce it. They want the government to regulate it. Yeah.
But the government doesn't make gold backs, right?
No.
Right.
But state laws, that's why you have the individual state series like the Arizona and the Florida and the Utah. So beginning with Utah, states have been passing those laws that allow people to pay with gold and silver, to pay their taxes, including as well. And so as a result, you see people like in Utah, there are people who have bought new home construction, like contractors with gold backs. There are people who've sold cars and paid for cars with gold backs and gold. So that's kind of.
Well, here's a question: does the gold back people accept gold to get gold backs?
Sure. Yeah, because they just use it to make more.
So, okay, look, if you go online to order it, can you be like, I'll mail you my payment, and you mail them a quarter ounce of gold or whatever, and then they're like, okay, I accept that, and now, or they're like, no, sorry, you can only pay us with your credit card on our website. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
Yeah. Or you go to where they have them. You go to a place where they have them and say, hey, I'll trade you this amount of gold for this many gold backs.
Oh, you're talking about a retailer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a
gold currency exchange.
Yeah, a gold. Yeah.
Okay.
They might.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, they might, if they're a gold dealer, if they're a heavy metal or precious metals dealer, they might accept gold. But you're looking at the premium, the spot price for gold versus the premium price for buying the gold back. Not exactly a one-to-one trade.
So based on some, and this is stupid that I brought up this question because we don't have enough time to actually answer it. But based on some quick internet research right in front of you, gold backs do not violate the law because they're not coins. So I guess U.S. Code 18486, whatever, is specific around metal coins for currency.
Yeah.
So you can't go make a quarter or a penny or whatever. I guess you can make a note or a bill. I don't know.
So I think that whole code, if we do some historical digging, it's to, counterfeit wooden nickels and counterfeit coins because it's easy to make a coin press.
Yeah.
Right? You could take a quarter, make a mold, make a steel coin press, and stamp 100 gold quarters.
Yeah.
You could.
Interesting. All right. Well, I brought up a thing that we can't fully answer. That's my bad. But know, I just think like kind of like you, Dan, when you were a kid, like you used shiny rocks or crystals. I don't know. Troy, did you ever do that when you were a kid?
I'm not too good luck success. It just didn't work out for me. So I was like, why continue doing this?
Yeah.
But
I just bought a book on rocks and gems the other day. Like I can't quit. It's bad.
Oh, so you're a rock guy.
Oh yeah.
Which is funny because like going back to our early conversation of like post-apocalyptic, will gold have value? Gold is in stuff, right? Like it's in our electronics, and like whether it's like crystals or other precious metals are
Jewelry.
in our phones, jewelry, cameras, electronics, our cars, batteries, like stuff you can get out of the earth will be used for like are used for like the things that run our lives today, you know? Like I guess we could get rid of all technology and just use like no precious metals, but I still feel like in the end there could still be some use.
You can't have the technology without the precious metals.
Mm-hmm.
That's not feasible.
Totally. All right. We have a few minutes left before our time is up. So last couple questions, and I'll start with you, Dan, and then I'll go to you, Troy. By the time you are like old and retired, do you think that you'll have...
That's 2 years for Dan.
3.5.
Old, retired, sitting there. I was going to say cranky, but again, that's already you. Just kidding. You're not a curmudgeon. I actually am. Anyways, by the time you're sitting in your rocking chair, sitting there, your kids are growing up, they have families, they probably have kids and grandkids. How much gold are you have going to accumulated, or are you like, I don't really care? Like sitting in your bank, in your vault, in your house, how much gold
in
do
a
you
bank?
Want? You know?
When I retire from my current job, one of my things that I'm going to do is get into gold assaying and gold smelting, and really dialing in like the poor miner and like getting electronic waste and stuff. I like to go on drives. I like to drive my truck. I want to turn that into something that pays for itself.
Yeah.
So I will go pick up every TV, appliance, whatever I see, and then I'll have at least more than an acre, so that when it's cold outside in Florida, I can go get warm in the foundry room and melt things into gold.
All right. I imagine you as like this crazy old guy. They're like, oh, this is the old Adams house, and there's like old tube TVs laying around the
bulldozers.
Huh?
No, nothing will be laying around. It will all have been melted down into gold.
There's a smokestack coming out of a random shack in the back. They're like, what is he doing? And little kids will be like, he's burning little kids or whatever. Like he's throwing them in his oven.
That's the guy that pays in gold to mow his lawn.
All right, Troy, what about you? Are you just going to stack up those gold backs?
I more than just gold backs, but yeah, I'm probably always going to always acquire gold. Every time I get a little bit of US dollars, just get some gold. Honestly, I'd like to own the gold mine at some point.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
When it's too hot for Florida, I'll come up to Oregon and I'll build a sluice and like a high banker, and we'll go mine for gold.
Let's do it.
Sasquatch Gold LLC coming soon.
For every mile of the Rogue River, they say there's $1 million in gold still.
I know. There's supposed to be a lot of gold still in the mountains here.
And there's a lot of gold claims out there. Dude, I'm down. When we got time, I got a camper, I got a welder. Let's do it.
We'll do it.
Especially
if gold keeps going. Like if it hits $10,000 an ounce, at that point, it's worth it to invest in all that equipment.
Especially if I can fire assay and melt it down.
Yeah.
So,
and
sorry, go ahead.
We'll make Brad some gold Pokemon cards. I like squishing stuff, so a hydraulic press is in my future.
Okay, so gold, it's funny because a week ago it was at $4,800. Last night it got up to
APMEX.com. you can go to the gold price and you can select franc or whatever, right? For the last year. So currently, how do you get it to? Like it says USD, you select francs.
Yeah.
And then ounces.
So are you thinking like, okay, if I go trade in gold for a US dollar versus I go trade in gold for a franc, what will I get the best value for?
Not the best value. I just want to see, like, what's it worth in francs versus US dollars?
Sure.
That's the exchange rate.
I'm just looking at the percentage increase. Did it go up 6% in francs and 22% in US dollars?
No, because the dollar, it would be based on the inflation rate of the dollar. So if the inflation rate of a dollar is higher than a franc, then it will seem like it's worth more in a US dollar. If the inflation rate of a franc didn't increase, then then gold won't have gone up as much. So
that's my point. And we're getting to the point that I was trying to make without being able to articulate it. My point is, it's not about, I'll do it in US dollars so I can get 10,000 instead of 8,000. Not my point. My point is, if you get it right and the francs is the constant, just for example, right, then your gold is worth at least that. It doesn't matter what it's worth in US dollars. I see what
you're saying. So you're
see
saying,
what I'm saying?
People in Switzerland are like, gold, it has barely gone up, while us Americans are like, gold has gone up
buy gold,
holy crap. Yeah. And Switzerland people are like, man, whatever, it's gone up like a couple francs, we don't care.
They're like, yeah, it's pretty constant. We all have gold. Why don't you?
Somehow in this podcast, we've just like really elevated the classiness of the Switzerland people compared to us Americans.
This could be a Swiss mug. It's not. But
well,
my coffee would taste better.
That's our Sasquatch talk on gold. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We're all out of time. My name's Bradley Valentine. We got Troy and Dan. Adios.
Bye.